and welcome back to my channel. Today it is Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's another Wicked Wednesday where I put on makeup and I tell you a scary ghostly story. If you missed last week's episode, I will link it up here. Last week we talked about Carole Baskin.
Killer husband Baskin.
This week we're going to be talking about something that's more of like a scary ghost legend. We are talking about the Crescent Hotel, which is in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. This one was a request, so I got you. This story is actually really creepy, and the more you look into it, I feel like the creepier it is. Okay, you guys know I start my videos covering all my spots. So the Crescent Hotel opened in Eureka Springs, Arkansas in 1886. So she real old. Actually, the Crescent is known as the most haunted hotel in America. So that's pretty haunted because there's a lot of really haunted places and hotels in this country, and that one wins apparently. The Crescent Hotel was originally built as a hotel for the rich and famous, but it became a lot to keep up with. It ended up just deteriorating basically, and they couldn't keep up with it. So it ended up closing, and then in 1908 it reopened as a college. It was called the Crescent College and Conservatory for Young Women, and that didn't quite work out either. It closed again in 1924, and then it reopened in 1930 as a junior college. So I don't know if that means it was like a middle school or what the hell that means. I don't really know what a junior college is. Like, is that a high school? I don't know. But that also didn't work out and closed 4 years later in 1934. So after this, it was just kind of leased as a summer hotel. And then in 1937, they got a new owner, and this is when shit got real crazy. This new owner, his name was Norman Baker, and he bought the hotel in 1937. He turned it into a hospital and health resort. And this was not good. He claimed he was a doctor, and he was definitely not a doctor. He had absolutely zero medical experience whatsoever, and he was posing as a doctor. He started doing this in Iowa, and then he eventually, when he bought the Crescent, he moved all of his patients to the Crescent. And he often claimed that he had like cures for cancer and all these horrible diseases, so people would come to him thinking that they were gonna get cured from these awful diseases, and nobody ever got cured because he didn't know what the he was doing. Some of the cures that he would have would be like drinking the local spring water in Arkansas, and I'm sure that probably was not good for anybody. So he was known to often attack organized medicine because he thought it was corrupt and only for profit. But still, is that an excuse to pose as a fake doctor? No. This didn't last very long for him. 3 years later, in 1940, he was arrested for fraud, and he spent 4 years in prison for this. But he did a lot of damage in those 3 years, like a lot of damage. The Crescent sat ownerless for 6 years, and in 1946, it was purchased again by a group of guys. There was like 4 or 5 of them that went in on this purchase. The hotel ended up nearly burning to the ground in a horrible fire, and all but one of the owners died. So the fire happened in 1967. The one remaining owner, I guess, held on to it for a little bit. The hotel was not purchased again until 1997. And this time it was purchased by a couple, and I'm probably gonna butcher the pronunciation of their name, so I'm sorry. Marty and Elise Roenick. I'm gonna call it Roenick, but I really don't know how to say it. I'll put the spelling on the screen. So they ended up purchasing the hotel in 1997 for $1.3 million, so it was a pretty penny. They actually started a renovation project, and they renovated the hotel for 6 years, which is awesome. They were redoing the hotel rooms, and it underwent a huge renovation. I'm sure it was probably in shambles after being a hospital and then going through a fire and all that. It needed some work. And they put it back to basically what it was meant to be in the first place, which was a really successful hotel. Unfortunately, Marty passed away in a car crash in 2009, but his wife Elise is still the current owner to this day. So that's kind of cool. It's still in the same hands, and this hotel has been very, very successful. It is said to be haunted, obviously. That's why we're here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be telling you about a random hotel on a Wicked Wednesday. Otherwise, I'd be down filming at the Holiday Inn Express, but we ain't doing that today. In 2016, the hotel was officially registered on the National List of Historic Places. Let me tell you about the haunted history of the hotel, now that you have the whole backstory. When the Roenicks purchased the hotel, they knew that it was haunted because there had been stories going around for a really long time that, you know, people saw things, they heard things there, and it was just a creepy kind of place. They had some paranormal investigators come in, and they actually hired 2 mediums, and they came in and just did like a reading of the hotel. What these mediums found was that the hotel seemed to be a portal to the other side. So kind of creepy. It almost reminds me of the poltergeist. If you haven't watched my poltergeist video, I'll link it up here. How they explained it was that it led to a dimension that held non-living spirits, and it can only be accessed by humans who are on the same frequency as the non-living spirits. Hopefully I'm not on that frequency, because no thanks. I don't like that. Basically, they believe that the crooked past of the hotel is the reason why it's haunted, because so many bad things happened in that short period of time where Baker was pretending he was a doctor and trying to cure cancer patients that never got cured. A lot of people did die there. They dug up some stuff. And by stuff, I mean, they pretty much went in and they found these bottles that still had like fleshy remains on them, which is so disgusting. This guy was literally doing like research. I don't know if he was doing research or he was just twisted. I don't really know what the hell is going on in this man's brain, but he was not right in the head to be doing this to cancer patients. And how sad is that like these people thought that they had hope of survival by going to him, and really it was basically a death sentence. He wasn't even a doctor. Due to that lack of medical training, a lot of people died there because there was no actual cure for cancer that he had found. He was just scamming people, being a weirdo. But yes, they dug up a bunch of like jars with fleshy remains on them, so he was doing weird experiments and shit. Now the fleshy remain bottles are on display in the hotel for the public. So that's kind of disgusting. I don't know if I would want to see that, but they literally still have flesh on them. It's so gross. Rewind that and take a shot every time I said fleshy just now, because I guarantee it by this point you'd already be drunk. So they actually believe that the portal section of the hotel that leads to the other side is in the morgue, where all the bodies were kept at the time that it was a hospital. And this is said to be where the most activity happens in the hotel. The morgue is where it gets real creepy, which duh, like that's where they kept all the dead bodies. Of course, that's the most active part of the hotel. Since guests have booked stays at the Crescent, they have obviously reported some crazy things that they have seen, heard. They've reported seeing some of Baker's patients who never got cured from cancer, who thought they were going to. And a lot of people actually reported seeing Baker's cat, whose name was Morris, and he's actually buried behind the hotel. So apparently his cat still lurks around the hotel too, because the cat used to live at the hotel. The Crescent also hosts ghost tours every single night, and if you are brave enough, you can actually book a room there to stay in America's most haunted hotel. I don't think I would ever do that because I am a scaredy cat. That's why I sit in a very well-lit room telling these ghost stories, because I'm scared. I enjoy hearing about ghost stories. Yeah, you would not catch me staying up in there. I feel that I am far too receptive to those types of things to ever stay in a haunted hotel. Things have happened to me in the past, but I don't want them to. I feel like people who ask for it, who actually can't see stuff, are the ones that go and do that. I'm not trying to chase after dead people. I don't want to be possessed by demons. Like, no, that's not my jam. Another cool thing that the hotel does now is on Halloween, they actually hold seances every year to try to connect with the people who are on the other side of the portal. That's really creepy in my opinion. I would never ever attend a seance or anything like that. I think that's so creepy. That's some like weird haunting in Connecticut shit that I'm just not down for. But these seances have actually been really successful, and people love them and come back for them every single year. Some other weird experiences that have been reported are in the morgue again. People have reported seeing children huddled under the autopsy table, which is a really haunted spot that's also still on display. Ooh. Oh, Mom. Hey, can I call you back in like 5 minutes?
Okay.
Bye. Apparently these kids were like pleading for help under the table, so that's really scary. And I don't actually know if there were any reports of kids being at the hotel or at the medical center when it was a medical center being treated. So that's kind of interesting that they saw children. I'm not sure where that came from, but that's really creepy. So another weird spot, room 419, is where a lot of people have reported to see the ghost of a guy named Theodore, who was one of Baker's patients, and he also was an assistant at the hospital. They see him creeping around room 419 all the time. I don't know, the kids are really creepy, but I think this one might be even creepier. On the 3rd floor in the early mornings, people said that they've heard wheels creaking, like someone's pushing something down the hallway, like a cart or something, and other people have actually seen a nurse pushing a hospital bed with a body on it, like a dead body. As it gets like toward the end of the hallway, it just disappears and vanishes into thin air. So that's great. Really making me want to stay at this hotel. There have also been many conversations with paranormal investigators between the living and the dead. They've done it through EMF readers, which is basically like a electromagnetic force reader. And if you've never seen it, you probably have seen one because it's on all the ghost shows. It's like the little box that they use. And basically it just picks up any electromagnetic waves that are in the air, and ghosts are said to kind of mess with that. A lot of people will ask it questions, the reader will spike. So a lot of conversations have been had with the dead through EMF readers like that. Like I said before, those fleshy bottles are now still on display at the hotel. You can go into the morgue, you can see the autopsy table, you can even go into like the walk-in freezer where they kept corpses. And I don't know that I would want to do that because, again, I'm a chicken. They also do some other cool stuff during the month of October. So they do this thing called Flickering Tales, which basically is a bunch of people who are like paranormal experts, and they do the tours and stuff, and they sit around a campfire and they tell their scary experiences that they've had while working at the hotel and being in the hotel. Okay, I finished my makeup. I feel like I always do this. Like, I'm like, hold on 1 second, let me go finish my makeup. And then I come back and I did something freaking wild. So I did that on my last video too. Basically, to wrap this mother up, you can still go stay at the hotel. It's really cool. They have tons of cool stuff. It's been featured on many different TV shows, including Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. It's been on tons of different TV shows, and they've done a lot of paranormal like experiments there. A lot of people go there to look for ghosts, obviously, because it's haunted. On Ghost Hunters, they actually claimed that they saw a full apparition on the show. They used a thermal camera and they saw a full apparition at the Crescent Hotel, so that's really scary. But yeah, that's it for the Crescent Hotel, you guys. I hope you liked this story. This was definitely a creepy one. Creepy doctor vibes. I don't know how I got a neon pink graphic liner out of that, but we did. So don't forget to subscribe if you want to see Wicked Wednesday every single Wednesday on this channel. I also do other beauty videos on here, so don't miss out on those. Click the subscribe button. And if you guys have any suggestions for stories you want to hear, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and thanks for watching. Bye!